The sun rose over the vast, sparkling ocean, casting golden reflections across the gentle waves. The morning air was filled with the cries of seagulls and the playful splashes of dolphins. Leaping through the water, it was a perfect day in nature, seemingly untouched by human interference. Fishermen's boats moved slowly along the horizon, and tourists captured the beauty with their cameras. Unaware of the hidden dangers lurking beneath the surface, the water shimmered, hiding an enormous creature beneath a 6-ton orca, gliding gracefully with its sleek black and white body cutting through the waves. Its immense size and power were awe-inspiring, yet the calmness of the scene was deceptive. Beneath the surface, faint traces of human pollution drifted silently. Plastic bottles, discarded nets, and other debris, invisible from afar, but deadly to the creatures who called this ocean home. The orca moved elegantly, hunting fish and navigating the currents, a symbol of the wild freedom of the sea. But in the shadows of the serene morning, the first signs of trouble were already emerging. Tiny pieces of trash, drifting with the tide, would soon set in motion a tragic chain of events that no camera lens could fully capture in time. The camera slowly zoomed in on the giant orca, its body glistening as it surfaced and exhaled a powerful stream of mist into the air. Every movement of this 6-ton giant showed both strength and grace, a reminder of how majestic the ocean's creatures could be. Tourists aboard nearby boats pointed in excitement, their cameras clicking rapidly, to capture the rare sight of such a massive predator in its natural habitat. Children squealed with joy, watching the orca rise and fall like a living wave. For them, it was a moment of wonder and unforgettable memory. To the fishermen, however, the sight was both familiar and cautionary because they knew how dangerous the sea had become, not only from storms and tides, but also from the increasing pollution caused by human negligence. Still, as the orca swam effortlessly near the surface, it looked healthy and untouchable, as though nothing could threaten its existence. Yet, the very water it breathed and the prey it hunted were already tainted. Bits of plastic and discarded fishing gear floated nearby, unnoticed by the cheering crowd, but dangerously close to the orca's path. What seemed like an ordinary, beautiful day was slowly turning into the beginning of tragedy. As the orca swam gracefully through the waves, small fragments of plastic and tangled fishing nets drifted silently in the water around it. These pieces, almost invisible against the sunlit ocean, had been carelessly discarded by humans. Bottles, bags, ropes, and other debris that should never have reached this delicate ecosystem. The camera captured the subtle, haunting presence of these pollutants as they floated near the orca's path, creating an invisible trap. Unaware of the danger, the massive creature nudged some of the debris with its snout while hunting, sending plastic bottles spinning away with each powerful movement. Meanwhile, nearby humans remained oblivious, taking selfies and pointing at the orca, completely unaware of how their actions, directly or indirectly, were affecting this magnificent being. Marine biologists later explained that even small pieces of human trash could be fatal when ingested or entangled around a whale's body. In this serene morning, the orca's every move was a delicate balance between freedom and peril, a silent struggle against the invisible consequences of human carelessness. The ocean, while beautiful, had become a silent battlefield where survival depended on avoiding the hidden dangers. Floating just beneath the surface, little did anyone know, this gentle yet deadly accumulation of trash was about to trigger a disaster for the 6-ton giant. The orca, in search of food, unknowingly began to swallow small pieces of floating plastic and tangled fragments of fishing nets, along with its prey. Each bite, meant to satisfy hunger, carried hidden danger. Scientists watching the footage later noted that ingesting such foreign objects could cause internal injuries, blockages, or severe infections over time. The camera captured the orca's powerful jaws closing over a particularly large piece of plastic, which momentarily caught in its throat, forcing it to struggle and cough violently. Its sleek body, built for speed and agility, now had to contend with invisible hazards, turning its graceful movements into strained, labored motions. Nearby, fish scattered in panic, adding chaos to the orca's hunt. The once vibrant, playful, Atmosphere of the morning was beginning to shift, tension creeping into the water. Even the seasoned fishermen noticed a subtle change in the orca's behavior. It moved more slowly, occasionally rolling to one side as if uncomfortable. This silent struggle, largely unseen by human eyes, illustrated the severe consequences of human negligence in marine environments. A creature as strong and powerful as this 6-ton orca, capable of conquering the open ocean, was now unknowingly weakened by discarded human waste. In that moment, the ocean held both beauty and tragedy, intertwined in ways that only a camera could begin to reveal. Over the next few hours, the orca's health began to visibly decline. Its movements became slower, less fluid, as if the immense strength it once commanded was gradually fading. Each breath seemed heavier, more labored, and the majestic creature, once a symbol of power and freedom, now appeared vulnerable in the vast ocean. Scientists monitoring the footage noticed small cuts and abrasions along its fins and body, likely caused by sharp fragments of plastic and entangled fishing nets. Even the gentle waves now seemed to struggle against its weakened energy, making each stroke of its massive tail an effort. Fish that once swarmed around it seemed to sense the change. Scattering further away, the crowd on nearby boats, oblivious to the silent suffering, continued to cheer and capture the scene on their cameras. But beneath the surface, the orca was battling an invisible enemy: human pollution. The ingestion of plastic, the cuts from nets, and the constant entanglement were slowly taking their toll. Even the ocean's beauty could not shield the creature from the consequences of careless human behavior. What had started as a peaceful morning in the open sea was now turning into a slow, tragic struggle for survival, a poignant reminder of how human actions ripple through nature, often with devastating effects. Suddenly, the footage captured a terrifying moment. The orca, exhausted and weakened from hours of struggling with ingested plastics and entangled nets, began to sink lower into the water. Its massive body, once effortlessly cutting through the waves, now struggled to stay afloat. Panic rippled through the nearby boats as tourists and fishermen noticed the distress. Some tried to approach, their voices shouting warnings, but none could reach it in time. The orca's dorsal fin tilted awkwardly, and each breath became a desperate gasp, sending small sprays of water into the air. Marine biologists immediately recognized the signs of a life-threatening situation. If the orca continued to sink, it could drown. The surrounding water, filled with floating debris, only worsened the scenario. Plastic bags and torn nets now clung to its body, further restricting its movement. Every stroke of its enormous tail required monumental effort, yet progress was minimal. The scene, both breathtaking and horrifying, underscored the immense vulnerability of even the largest ocean predators. When confronted with human negligence, the ocean, usually a realm of dominance for the orca, had transformed into a trap, and the camera continued to document this tense struggle, capturing the grim reality of the consequences of pollution. As the orca continued to struggle near the surface, the local fishermen and marine experts quickly realized the severity of the situation. This was no ordinary challenge. A 6-ton creature caught in a life-threatening entanglement required immediate action. Calls were made to nearby rescue teams, and emergency protocols were activated. Scientists aboard a nearby research vessel assessed the scene, coordinating with divers and specialized equipment that could help free the orca. The atmosphere on the boats shifted from awe to tension, a palpable mix of fear and urgency. Onlookers watched in silence, cameras now forgotten, as the orca's survival hung in the balance. The powerful mammal, normally a master of the ocean, was now completely dependent on human intervention. Every second counted, and mistakes could mean death. The rescuers prepared flotation devices, cutting tools, and nets, readying themselves for what would become one of the most challenging operations in their careers. They knew that a creature this large could panic at any sudden movement, making the rescue both physically demanding and emotionally intense. The water, once serene and sparkling under the morning sun, now reflected the tension and fear of those desperate to save a life, endangered by humanity's careless actions. The massive rescue operation officially began as divers plunged into the chilly waters, moving cautiously toward the struggling orca. Each diver carried specialized cutting tools and safety equipment, aware that one wrong move could injure themselves or the enormous creature. Boats surrounded the area, forming a protective perimeter to keep curious tourists and smaller vessels at a safe distance. Communication was intense, with radios crackling as teams coordinated every step. The divers approached the orca slowly, trying not to startle it, knowing that panic could worsen the entanglement. The camera captured each tense moment, the orca thrashing its massive body, water spraying in all directions, and the rescuers' faces tight with focus and determination. Every movement was calculated, every gesture measured as the team worked to cut away the plastic and fishing debris wrapped around the animal. Even with their experience, handling a 6-ton orca was overwhelming. The surrounding water, dotted with floating debris, added to the complexity, making it difficult to maneuver tools safely. Yet, amidst the chaos and danger, a sense of hope prevailed. The ocean, once a silent arena of suffering, became a stage of human courage, ingenuity, and compassion. As the rescuers battled both time and the invisible threat posed by pollution, the divers finally reached the orca, moving carefully round its massive, thrashing body. They could see the full extent of the entanglement, thick fishing nets wrapped around its fins and tail, plastic ropes cutting slightly into its skin, and small debris stuck along its sides. Each movement of the orca caused tension in the nets, making it difficult to cut safely without risking injury to the animal or themselves. The divers worked in pairs, one holding the orca steady with specialized flotation devices, while the other carefully sliced through the entangled debris. The scene was chaotic, water sprayed in all directions, and the orca's powerful tail created waves that rocked the nearby boats. The camera, hovering just above the water, captured the immense size of the animal and the precise, delicate work required to free it. Every second counted, as the orca was visibly fatigued, its breathing labored and uneven. Rescue coordinators shouted instructions from the boats, guiding the divers to the most dangerous sections of the net. Despite the difficulty, the team's skill and coordination began to show progress. Small sections of net were successfully removed, giving the orca brief relief. Yet, the operation was far from over. The orca's massive weight and entanglement made every step a test of patience, strength, and careful calculation. Slowly, piece by piece, the divers began cutting away the thick, suffocating nets from the orca's enormous body. Each slice of the tangled plastic brought visible relief to the struggling giant, whose powerful thrashes gradually became less frantic. The orca seemed to understand, in its own way, that help had arrived, and it moved. Cautiously, though still exhausted, the rescuers had to remain vigilant at all times. One wrong motion could startle the animal, causing it to thrash violently and potentially injure both itself and the divers. Flotation devices were strategically placed around its body to lift its immense weight and stabilize it for the cutting process. As the camera followed every meticulous movement, viewers could see the emotional toll on the rescue team, faces tight with concentration, muscles straining, voices shouting clear instructions. Small tears and abrasions on the orca's skin told the story of its silent suffering, and the rescuers worked with urgency, understanding that every second without relief was dangerous. Slowly, hope returned as larger portions of the net were freed, and the orca's movements began to regain a hint of its natural grace. The water around them, once chaotic with struggle, began to calm as progress was made. A fragile but meaningful victory in the massive operation to save a 6-ton life, endangered by human negligence. Despite progress, the rescue operation faced its greatest challenge yet, controlling a 6-ton orca whose immense strength could easily overwhelm even the most experienced divers. The animal, though exhausted, still possessed raw power, thrashing its massive tail and rolling its body with sudden force. Each movement created waves that rocked the rescue boats and made the cutting of entangled nets a perilous task. Divers had to anticipate every motion, positioning themselves carefully to avoid injury while continuing the delicate work. The camera captured the tension in real time. The water churned, foam spraying into the air, and the sheer scale of the orca made it impossible to ignore the danger on the boats. The rescue team coordinated with precision, issuing commands and adjusting strategies to match the unpredictable movements of the animal. For a moment, it seemed as if the orca's size and strength might make the mission impossible. Yet, human determination and teamwork pressed on. Each net removed was a small triumph, a step closer to freeing the creature from the perilous grip of human pollution. The scene was a mixture of fear and hope, a reminder that even the strongest creatures can become vulnerable when confronted by man-made hazards, and that extraordinary effort is required to restore their freedom. After hours of painstaking effort, the divers began to remove the final, most dangerous sections of the net from the orca's body. The once suffocating loops around its fins and tail were now gone, and the massive creature could move more freely. For the first time in hours, the orca's thrashes became less frantic, and its breathing started to normalize, though it was still visibly fatigued. Rescue team members exchanged relieved glances, understanding that their relentless focus and coordination had paid off. The camera captured these intimate moments. The orca, a 6-ton behemoth, beginning to glide gracefully once again, and the divers, exhausted but triumphant, watching carefully to ensure the animal did not panic. The water around them seemed to breathe a sigh of relief as well, calm returning to the ocean's surface. Yet, the rescuers knew the operation was not yet complete. Even with the nets removed, the orca's health had been compromised. Internal injuries, stress, and exhaustion meant that it would require close monitoring in the coming hours. Despite this, the immediate danger had passed. The scene was a testament to human courage, teamwork, and compassion, a reminder that, even in the face of overwhelming odds, determined efforts could save lives endangered by human negligence. The ocean, once a battlefield of struggle, now held a fragile sense of hope. But as the rescue team watched closely, they noticed the orca's condition was far from stable. Though freed from the nets, its breathing remained shallow, and its movements lacked the natural energy of a healthy giant. The stress of hours spent entangled, combined with the ingestion of plastics, had already taken a heavy toll. Marine biologists on the scene quickly assessed the situation, explaining that drowning was still a risk if the animal could not regain its strength soon. The water around the orca grew eerily quiet, the cheering from earlier replaced by tense silence as everyone realized how fragile the moment was. The camera lingered on the orca's labored breaths, capturing the heartbreaking reality that freedom alone did not guarantee survival. Divers and rescue teams stayed close, ready to intervene if it rolled back into danger. Despite their efforts, the weight of human negligence still hung heavy, showing in every weakened motion of the animal. For all its power and majesty, the 6-ton orca was now fighting its final battle, a battle against exhaustion and pollution. The crowd on shore and aboard boats held their breath, knowing they were witnessing not just a rescue mission, but possibly the last moments of a life lost to human carelessness. The camera captured the heartbreaking climax of the struggle. The massive orca, once a symbol of strength and dominance in the ocean, gave one final, desperate push with its powerful tail. Water sprayed into the air, a last show of its natural might before its movements slowed. Its dorsal fin tilted, and its body began to sink slightly, revealing the exhaustion that had overwhelmed it. The rescuers shouted in panic, urging divers to stay clear as the animal's weight shifted dangerously in the water. Onlookers aboard nearby boats stood frozen, some with tears in their eyes, as they realized the inevitability of what was happening. The orca's breathing weakened further, each gasp shorter than the last, until finally, it released a faint stream of mist into the air, its final breath. Slowly, the colossal body went still, floating silently on the surface of the water. The ocean, moments ago filled with splashes and frantic motion, grew calm and heavy with sorrow. The rescue team, drained from hours of labor, stared at the lifeless giant, devastated by the loss. The camera did not look away, documenting the raw, tragic reality that even the most powerful of creatures can be brought down by the careless actions of humankind. In the aftermath of the tragic loss, silence hung over the ocean like a heavy veil. The 6-ton orca, freed from its entanglement yet unable to survive the damage caused by human negligence, floated as a solemn reminder of the consequences of pollution. The rescue team and onlookers were left in stunned silence, realizing that their heroic efforts, though valiant, could not undo the harm already inflicted. The camera lingered on the still water, capturing both the magnitude of the loss and the fragile beauty of the environment humans often take for granted. Scientists and marine conservationists spoke urgently about the dangers of plastic and waste in oceans, stressing that such tragedies are preventable if society acts responsibly. Messages of awareness and responsibility echoed across the footage. Every piece of trash left in the environment could threaten lives, not just of small creatures, but of the ocean's largest predators. Despite the sorrow, the story also carried a lesson of hope. The bravery and determination of the rescuers showed what humans can do when they act with compassion and skill. The ocean continued to ripple under the morning sun, a mix of beauty and tragedy, reminding everyone watching that nature's giants deserve respect, protection, and the chance to thrive free from human carelessness.